If you want your construction projects to run like clockwork, I have a couple quick tips for you in this video. We're going to start with pre-construction and how to kind of dial that in. We're going to talk about what the project manager, or you if you're a project manager, should be, focused on a little bit more during the project. And of course, there's always the closeout. So let's start with the goal of project management, which is having your project come in on time and on budget and having a happy client. And a big part of actually having your project come in on time and on budget is if you actually spend time planning, right? And the pre-construction planning phase is actually really, really critical. Most of the work in project management actually comes before the project even starts. Like some clients, after the contract gets signed, they're like, okay, well, where's all the progress? And they're like, well, hold on, we're planning, we're ordering materials, we're lining everything up, we're building the proper schedule, we're building a proper budget, we're finding the right vendors and suppliers and subcontractors that are going to be on your project to make sure that the project is a success. You really want to make sure that your project delivers an amazing result. And how do you do that? Well, you're not going to be doing all this makeshift stuff on the fly. You're going to be figuring that crap out ahead of time, right? So you actually have a plan going into some of these potential roadblocks, because an experienced project manager is going to know the certain roadblocks and know the order of inspections and know all these things ahead of time. And your role as a project manager is to create the space, create the environment for the clients and the subcontractors and the superintendent, and maybe, if you're a project manager, maybe the owner of your construction company or the CEO, whatever, everyone needs to work together. So it really is your job to kind of facilitate this space and just set the tone and the culture, and everything needs to be right in order for the whole team, because you're going to need your team to be working together. You need a team in general to get a project done right. Project analysis, right? We talked about pre-construction, but when you take on a project to manage, you really want to study the drawings. You got to have drawings on the project, and you want to know those drawings like the back of your hand or the front of it or the face of it. You want to know every detail of those drawings. You want to know, oh, that's S2.3. You want to know, oh, that's A1.1. You want to know exactly where those details are, the cross sections. You want to be studying them during the day or late at night or whatever is best for you. When you get into that zone, you want to just like pour over the drawings, soak them up so you know them like the back of your hand. So you could be like, I'm your guy. I got your answers. You come to me. I got you covered. You know what I'm saying? I'm the project manager. Okay, the next thing that you want to do after you read the drawings in your project analysis thing here is you want to read the contract. You got to understand the scope of work. You want to understand the contract terms. You want to read every word, maybe not every little legal jargon word. You just kind of skim it. You get the idea. But really, you want to study that scope of work. You want to know the dollar value, of course, too. So the base contract is, $500,000, whatever. Then you want to know exactly what the schedule of values says that breaks down that $500,000, so you know how to go and spend that money. This is super crucial, because if you have 20 grand for plumbing or 70 grand for plumbing, you got to know the difference. You got to know where the buckets of money are going, right? When you start buying the project out. So definitely read the prime contract and the drawings. This is very important. So the third piece of this project analysis is you of course want to do your routine. There's a certain order of operations, but go ahead and look for any special requirements, right? Look for those things that might be a little bit more tricky, like the little sticky wickets. You'd be like, oh, well, this project has asbestos, and we actually need to go get someone that's licensed and certified to remove the asbestos, or this has lead-based paint before 1978 or whatever. So you got to do, certain things, there might be wetlands, there might, whatever. There's just all kinds of site and project management complexities that you want to uncover during this like analysis phase of when you're biting off a project to manage. Then you want to look at the specifications, the details, any materials needed. You want to really understand spec books and know what finishes and materials and everything like that is going to be going into this project. So once you have this general project analysis kind of figured out, you've done some site visits, you understand the project, then you're ready to move to the next step, which by the way, the next step for you maybe as a YouTube watcher, click the like button. It helps the channel. Thanks. The next part of this, after you've done your analysis, now you need to build your team and assign clear roles. Not every person is going to be good at every single thing. So you want to put the right subcontractor or the right employee or the right vendor or the right material supplier, whatever, on the right parts of the project. So you want to really understand your team, talk to people, get to know them, understand their strengths, their weaknesses, their core competencies, what they're really good at, and be like, hey man, have you ever done this before? Or, hey man, what are you not good at? Or, hey man, what do you love the most? And just see what they say and be taking notes. And then you'll know these are the people that I need. This is the fence guy that I want to do for this type of, indoor batting cage facility. Like we just built an indoor batting cage facility, and there's a very specific type of cage that needs to happen in these batting cages anyway, but it's the right person, right seat, right? It's the right subcontractor for the right role, the right scope of work. And as a part of building this team, you want to make sure that people understand the culture. I know I said this, but just real quick, to make sure your concrete guys don't fight with your framers, and make sure your masons don't fight with your concrete guys, and just, make sure your plumbers don't fight with the concrete guys. No, I'm just kidding. All right, no offense to concrete guys, but I'm just saying, you want to make sure to set the precedent for a clean, happy, healthy, safe job site, and assign clear roles to each person, and you will be successful. The next part of this is to understand the risk, because your job, really, the whole role of even owning a construction company, or let alone managing a construction project, which is the crux of it, is mitigating risk. You have to put the right scope of work in the subcontracts, or else you're going to get your shirt handed to you. You are going to get the shirt ripped off your back if you don't scope of work properly. If there's a grease trap and your plumber needs to include it, but he didn't say I'm including the grease trap, bro, you got to go buy a grease trap for 10 grand, 20 grand. You're going to lose money on your project if you don't mitigate risk. One example, clear scopes of work, right? But this could be anything logistical or contractual or budget-wise or schedule-wise or safety-wise. Safety is a big deal, okay? It's boring to talk about, but just keep a safe project. It's going to help you mitigate the risk. And make sure to build some contingency in your budget for these specific things that you can go pull from the bucket of contingency, and you're good, But don't spend the contingency if you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, the next piece of this is scheduling. Try to really build a schedule that makes sense. Try to really think through how long it's actually going to take to do the site work, or how long it's actually going to take to install the drywall. And don't start installing the drywall before the framing's up, or what I'm saying, like put things in the right order, obviously, and make sure that you don't call your subs to show up when the plumbing rough isn't ready for their plumbing rough. If the concrete isn't even cut or cleared out, maybe you've cut it but you haven't cleared out. That comes down to communication. But I'm talking about scheduling here. And you schedule your sub for Tuesday, but Monday night it's really not ready, and they show up Tuesday morning and it's still not ready, then you're not scheduling your projects properly, and you need to communicate. If there are delays, move that out. You're going to start, float in your construction project schedule. Sometimes it's helpful to think through your projects backwards, right? Really think through of how to get to that finish line, and think through it backwards and run it through, and really make sure that the right timeline is good, the right amount of days for each section, or else you're kind of going to be screwed, because you're going to be like, hey man, are you available X, Y, and Z day in 2 weeks from now? And they're going to be like, yeah. They're going to schedule you in, and it's going to push, it's going to get messed up, and it's going to turn into kind of a headache. And so next thing really is just keeping on top of things, just staying on track, talking to your superintendent. Don't just disappear into the forest. Come out and talk to the team on site, really manage the budget, make sure the buyout is still good, even 3/4 of the way through the project. It's still your responsibility to stay on top of the details and be there for your team. A big part of your role at this point is to make sure that the quality is there. You want to be making sure that your superintendent is actually doing good punch lists, right? You want to make sure that finishes are coming out the right way. You may want to make sure, even before your finishes, you want to make sure your electrical rough and your mechanical rough and your plumbing rough, everything's roughed in the right places. Look at the drawings and hold your superintendent accountable, right, for exactly what's happening on site, so you don't start finishing everything out and it turns into an absolute disaster. So my last tip is to be creative, because nothing in life, also nothing in the construction life, is going to be perfect. There are going to be things, even though you did all that pre-construction stuff, your planning, your forethought is on point, there's going to be things that come up, or maybe the client even changes something. Like I was building this art studio one time, and he was like, yo, can we actually stop everything? We're like about to get our permit, and he's like, let's raise the roof another 2 feet, because I just realized I need to go to 10-foot ceilings to hang my art in this special way. We're like, no problem, but we have to get creative and order these different trusses and go back to the architect and do all these things. So construction is creative. It's a creative sport. It's fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. It's exuberating. I don't even know all the stuff. Click the like button if you like this video, and check out jesselane.com if you got some value and you want to go deeper into learning from me with my coaching program, or get a template or a course. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here. Peace.